I would like to introduce my boss's boss, Mr. Don F. Lowe.
This will come as a complete surprise to Richard because he didn't make any time for me on the program. I've been missing you guys. I'm missing stage time. I had to get up here. Thank you, David, and congratulations to all those winners. You guys are just fabulous. If you have been around our company for a long time, or just 2 or 3 years, you know that we have a corporate policy that says no surprises. What that really means is no surprise. Do not surprise the boss, and he won't surprise you. But I make the rules, so I'm going to change the rules today, and I'm going to surprise a young man. Indulge me a little bit as I recognize one of our own. 25 years ago, Carolyn and Richard and I were sitting in a Mexican restaurant in Irvine, California. And he was 2 years out of school working for Kodak. He was a salesperson calling on the Navy, worked for Kevin Murphy. He had exceeded his quota for 2 straight years. He won the Billy T. Files Award, which is an award that's not only about sales, but it's about being a great citizen in the Kodak community. He was part of the 21 Club, which was the top club in Kodak for sales. Like every good mother, she's listening to every word that he's saying, and he's complaining about the fact that he had just learned that week that his territory had been cut in half and his quota had been doubled. Any of you that have been in the professional sales game, you know that that's just the way that it works. Like a good mother, she turned to me and said, "Why don't you give him a job?" Now, that had never occurred to me, nor did I think he was interested in one. But I thought about that for a while, and we had just started a copy center franchise called Copies Now. And we had a few of them in place. We had 2 employees in that company. It was Ken Ross and Jill Crum. So I said to Richard, if you really want to work in our company, go interview with Ken. He knew Ken. He'd been knowing Ken for a long time. Go interview with Ken. If he's got a place for you, then go to work at Copies Now. He did. Ken was never my hardest working vice president, but he is smart. So he hired the boss's son right away. I thought he might stick around for a couple of years and then leave and go back to the big corporate world and maybe move to Montana or Colorado where he really loves the mountains. But working for Ken turned out to be good for Richard. He did everything that Ken didn't want to do, which was mostly everything except franchise sales. That left Richard responsible for training, openings, operations, and driving the van for university. It was a great learning experience for him. 25 years later, he's still in our company, and I'm grateful that he is. Now he has done most every job in our company, except Dan Congers, and sometimes Dan thinks he's trying to do his job. I have had the wonderful pleasure of watching him grow up twice, growing from a toddler to a young man, and from a young man to a strong, seasoned business executive. He is a good leader. He can lead from the front and pull his team, or he can lead from the back and push his team. There's no real difference except it seems to be a little louder in the back. He has a great respect for all of our team, and he has great respect for you. He's a hands-on manager. He is what Susan said the other day from the Disney Institute about being overmanaged. He overmanages everything. He's a hands-on. He works with our people all the time. He's never in his office. He has a great work ethic, Many times when I leave the office, most of the time when I leave the office, his car is still in the parking lot. I only wish that when he was growing up and he was in charge of maintenance in the yard that he would have had that work ethic back then. Growing up, Richard was never a problem. He was a good kid. We had only one minor disagreement, had a little automobile accident, fender bumper, whatever that is. Had an accident in a McDonald's parking lot, and that was the story he told, and he expected me to believe that. But we had a little disagreement, so he was grounded for 2 weeks. After 2 months, Carolyn said, "Richard, you're going to have to leave the house." He had become addicted to Gilligan's Island and Hogan's Heroes, so he needed to move out of that living room. Richard has long been a student of our business, learning from a variety of sources and resources. He's always been a sponge when he comes to hanging around the vendors because they create the technology and kind of set the stage of what we can do in the future. He sits on 2 boards. He's been 9 years, I think, working with EDSF. And if you don't know that, and you probably don't, there are about 30 or 34 directors in EDSF. All of them are major players in this industry. And I sat on that board for 3 years, and now he's been 9. He's also on the board of PODI. He had many early mentors in this business. As I mentioned, Kevin Murphy, his first boss at Kodak, was a good one for him. Bill Glarner, who was with Sir Speedy for so many years, was a mentor. Bob McCarney, a top 25 franchisee. Phil Hupenbecker, which is Mary Kohler's dad. Art Weber, Ken Ross, Dan Beck, George Coriati, Jim Quinn, Gerald Slott have all played a role in Richard's learning experience. And maybe his most influential mentor is his mother. He listens to what I say. He does what she says. Richard has been our strategist in our company for a long time. We started a department there called Strategic Direction, which he headed up, and Carl Post also worked with him in that, and I think Carl is standing somewhere back there in the back room. We're glad you're here, Carl. Richard has been setting the direction for our company for a long time. He's the one that has the vision. He's the one that kind of points the boat where it needs to go, and we try to follow. His education was in the marketing arena, and as the business changed in our company and your company and then this industry, he has become a student of technology. He doesn't know anything about how it works or why it works. What he wants to do is look at it and see if it will fit in our company, fit in your business, and can we save money, save time, or make money? And if we can do that, we will bring it in. Richard's dedicated to his family. He's a gatherer. He wants them around him all the time. You saw him over here earlier this week with his family on Thursday morning. Weekends, we spend a lot of time at soccer games, and he wants those people around him, and he wants to be around them all the time. He spends a lot of time with them in Montana. He's on his way up there at the end of next week, spend 2 or 3 weeks, and he gets to bond where he doesn't have to talk to me or worry about any business for a while. Richard loves all sports. He still works out 2 hours a day, and if he happens to miss a couple of days, we have to get our 2x4 out because we have to protect ourselves. He needs to work off that energy. He loves the outdoors. He's a hunter and he's a fisherman, and he loves to take his family skiing, and he loves that part. Our family, Carolyn, Richard, myself, and his sister Ashley have had a tradition for a long time in our family. For some 30 or 31 years, we have attended the Final Four college basketball tournament, just the 4 of us, and it's been a great experience. For those of you that have worked with family in this business, you know that the rewards are great. You also know that there are challenges, and not every day is easy. But frankly, for me, it's been a piece of cake. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I get to spend a lot of time with my son. I get to go places with him. I have lunch with him about every day. And we talk endlessly about some of you. and talk a great deal about our business. It's been a pleasure. He knows his role, I know my role, and I know that he always has my back, and importantly, he has your back. We both can take comfort in that. Thanks, son, I appreciate that. Now let's take a little trip down memory lane.
We were shooting up, then we hit the ground. We were turning heads, but they let us down. The night is young. Now we're sideways, stuck in between, looking for some clarity, but the night is young. Even stars are covered up sometimes. Hold on tight. Tall, brush it off, dig deep, take more shots. The night is young. If we could turn us straight to stone, make us burn, give us hope. The night is young. There's a current running, charging all our feet. Breathe in, breathe out. We are not defeated. Someday, real soon, we will shine. Even stars are covered up sometimes. It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Let's tell the world all the things we've done. Falling in love in the setting sun. I've got a song and a smile so bright. I'll make you wish you were here tonight. All right! All of the places we ever go feel familiar, I'm never alone. All of the people that I don't know will be looking me up when they all get home. Let's tell the world all the things we've done. Falling in love in the setting sun. I've got a song and a smile so bright. I'll make you wish you were here tonight. And if all the stories that I can't explain. I leave my heart open, but it stays right here empty for days. She told me in the morning she don't feel the same about us in her bones. Seems to me that when I die, these words will be written on my stone. And I'll be gone, gone tonight. The ground beneath my feet is open wide. The way that I've been holding on too tight, with nothing in between. The story of my life, I take her home. I drive all night to keep her warm in time. It's frozen. The story of my life, I give her hope. I spend her love until she's broke inside. The story of my life. The story of my life, I take her home. I drive all night to keep her warm and time is frozen. The story of my life, I give her hope. I spend her love until she's broke inside. The story of my life. The story of my life. The story of my life. The story of my life.
Richard, it's my pleasure to present you this Eagle for 25 years of outstanding leadership. Thank you.
Love is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flame...
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Let's go to seminars.